Hello, dwellers of the internet, welcome back. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about Jawbreaker. Not the candy, I'm talking about the film. That is why this episode is going to be called Jawbreaker 2, because I already talked about my position on the candy. I talked about my position on the experience of eating one of those fucking godforsaken things, and about how the only thing keeping me coming back to it was nostalgia. No, what I want to talk about right now is the film Jawbreaker, which is, I guess if I had to classify it to a genre, I would have to call it teen drama. I would have to classify it under teen drama. There's no other genre that I'd be willing to put it under, because that's exactly what it is. And the reason why I feel the need to categorize it under a different kind of genre, or possibly create one that could be unique to its situation, like if I could create a new genre that could relate to this film, I would, just because of its status to me and its place in my heart that it holds, because this is no ordinary film. This film. So I guess the most apt description that I could describe this, or that I could ascribe to this film, would be a film that is the best of the worst. And that pretty much encapsulates everything that it is. Without me going too deep into an analysis, I'm gonna ramble off some of the shit that I think about this movie to you, because that's what these episodes are all about, for, the daily uploads and whatnot. This film, the reason why I call it the best of the worst is because it is a teen drama, which, to the film connoisseur, or anybody with their head so far up their ass that they have the gall to call themselves a film critic without ever having studied film or taken a class on it, they would describe the genre of teen drama as one of the worst in the film industry. And I more or less agree with that. but this film in particular, Jawbreaker, is the best of the worst, because it is I firmly believe it is the best and closest that a teen drama could possibly get to creating something that is full of substance, I guess would be the apt description for what I believe it has. It's full of content that can be appreciated. Now, mind you, this is just my opinion. I can't account for anybody else. There are droves of people and audiences that would just claim this is yet another teen drama, yet another bullshit film, yet another one in the long list of the category of teen dramas that fall to the wayside of holding their place in the summer blockbuster slot, of which they can siphon views off of for people who are seeing films during the summer with their dates just because they can't afford to not see a movie for a date, and just because they want to get some action and they want to I'm fucking up this ramble even. The point is that people will try to demerit this film as much as fucking possible just because it's a teen drama. And I believe that you are right to do so, because if you aren't me, you're not going to be able to see, I don't think, completely the inherent value that this film has. Not only because of nostalgia, but because of the, I guess, context and time period in which I watched it. I'm not sure if those elements even play a part in my appreciation of the film. I'm not even sure if those are legitimate factors. I'm trying to think of a reason right now why, like a legitimate reason why I appreciate this film as much as I do. Because by all accounts, it would be considered a shit film. By all perceptions of the people around me, it would be considered a trash film. And through every consideration of how I think about film and what I think a film should be composed of and what I appreciate about film in the first place, I would think to myself that I would consider this to be a shit film. Which I do to a certain extent, but there are just certain elements about it that stick out to me in a way that make me like the film beyond just some kind of ironic appreciation, like, somebody would watch The Room, or, or beyond the context of which somebody would watch The Room, laughing at it the entire time, beyond the context of somebody who supposedly hates the prequels of Star Wars and is just watching them to laugh at them kind of thing. It goes even beyond that. My appreciation for Jawbreaker ranges far beyond that. Maybe not too far, but far enough to where I could talk about this as a topic, and far enough to where I have to really question my sense of self and my sense of film quality to try to ascribe a reason to my perception of this film, because it baffles even myself that I'm able to like this film. But I think it's cool. And me sitting here thinking about it, the reasons, I guess, that I could come up with for my appreciation of it is that, okay, I can't construct like a similar to a script-worthy description of why I like this film, but the first thing that comes to mind when I think about why I like this movie, why it seems cool to me. For one, let's start with, let's just take this one pinprick at a time. Let's take this one point at a time, even, because I can't even form a coherent, description that I could, formulate my opinion on. I can't form it. I can't form my opinion in a video format, so I'm just gonna go point by point here. The first point that comes to mind is the song I You Who. I don't know who the singers are, but you see these teenage girls walking down the hallway in the very first scene of the film, of which there are several callbacks. Not too many, mind you. It's the perfect amount to solidify this song in your mind as iconic, as a song that is representative of the popular kids, the higher class, the ones who have a little bit more influence, a little bit more control over the student body around them, a little bit more of a power of manipulation around them. And this song solidifies that so well, not only because it's timed perfectly, not only because it reappears the perfect amount of times throughout the film to not be too little, as well as to not be too overbearing, but because the song itself is perfectly matched. I don't know how the fuck they did it, but this song is perfectly matched to the aura, to the feel of witnessing a certain amount of popular girls walk down the hallway in your school. And this is a thought that has been maintained by me from adolescence to adulthood within memory, just because I can't think of bitchy, popular, overly dressed, overly make-upped, manipulative cunts in a way from high school that is more realistically represented than in this film. There are 3 of them that are presented in the scene, and the scene is presented so artistically. You know what? That's another merit of it, is that it presents everything that it does artistically. That, I think, is the crux of why this film can be considered a quality film above all, in the wake of such a wave of protest against films like this, in the wake of such shit tier quality films like this. To me, this film strikes me as a film that somebody sat down one day and created, where they were sitting there thinking, hey man, I like the teen genre, I like the teen drama genre, where there's like a bunch of hot chicks and a bunch of dudes and there's stuff happening like American Pie, funny stuff, but like it's too stupid for me, and I want to make a film that is not only about these subjects but also good, like some brilliant avant-garde artist, like Shakespeare or Lovecraft decided that they were going to take the most shit concept they could find and try to create art out of it, like legitimate art out of it, and try to make it good and try to make it appealing. And whoever it was, God, I gotta look up the director, I gotta look up the writer. The cameraman, fucking whoever was responsible for the artistic perspectives that are presented within the film is a genius, because each one of these scenes is not only separated by its and that's another thing. Sorry if I'm jumping around a bunch, but I can hardly concentrate on one thing at once because I'm trying so hard to think of what makes this film good. Another thing is that each scene has its own context. Each scene feels like its own individual artistic piece. There is the beginning scene, where you have this representation of these popular girls walking down the hallway, and right off the bat, because they are walking in the way that they are, through the Triforce mechanism, because there is 3 of them, because they are representing 3 pillars of power, walking down the hallway slowly, majestically, to the tune of this perfectly played song, I You Who, that is representative of all the power that they hold, all the desire that is bestowed upon them, everything that they represent as far as the student body's concerned with them, all of the power that they hold over the entirety of their existence. It's exemplified all in this one scene at the beginning, with them walking down the hallway, the most popular girls, the quote-unquote prettiest girls, the ones with the most power in the school, to the beat and tune of this song that fits perfectly. And this is why this scene, I think, is constructed perfectly, because it's able to do this through the quality of the music and the quality of the scene direction and the camera work and the slow motion panning of these angles that are focused around the girls. And I think that this scene is constructed perfectly. It exemplifies everything that it's trying to communicate, and it does not fail. It completely succeeds. So often you see in a film that they're trying to create a scene that is supposed to represent an idea or an emotion or a specific set of circumstances, and they fail when just trying to concentrate on one of these aspects. This scene in this movie that is supposed to be complete and utter shit manages to encapsulate and exemplify all of these things at once within the first scene of the movie. How the fuck did they do this? It had to have been luck, right? No, it couldn't have been, because it remains this way throughout the entirety of the film. Every single scene is all put together to be part of the same film, but every scene feels like it has so much work and detail and effort put into it that separately they are almost more admirable than put together, because every scene is communicating not necessarily something different because they're all within the theme of the film, but every scene is communicating a different idea and different reactions and different perceptions of which that idea can be taken. Not only that, but it's well constructed representations of said idea. Like, take for instance another scene, for example, if I want to get specific, the scene where Fern Mayo becomes Violet, essentially, where she transforms from this unnoticed, unpopular, fading into the background of existence girl to one of the most popular girls in the school, where these other popular girls who have all the power are taking the person who is lowest on the totem pole of social significance to them and are turning her into this weaponized abomination of popular creation in order to hide their secret of killing one of their best friends. The scene in which this is constructed around makes it feel like fucking Frankenstein. There are there are aspects to the scene, like the slow motion panning shots and fading in and out of different aspects of her makeup design, where they're adding nails and hair and lipstick and different kinds of makeup to her, where it gives a voice to a narrator who is describing it, which gives it even more of a touch and tone of superficiality, which adds to the scene even more. But during this whole scene, you're being shown this straight-faced Fern Mayo who was once engulfed by fear of the power that these these other popular women held over her, that is now being facilitated into the strength and the dominance of the idea itself of possibility, from going from 0 to 100 in the aspect of power. From it perfectly encapsulates that idea that a person who feels that they mean nothing, all of a sudden finding themselves in a position in which they can control everything if they wanted to where they are in a position of power by sheer happenstance, even above the superficial, manipulative bitches that seem to be the queens and seem to be the evil dictators of all of these social aspects of their livelihood. This scene encapsulates not only that aspect of the character, of the realization of power, which can have such a dramatic effect over anybody going through that time period in their life of adolescence, but anybody in general. Not only does it encapsulate that, but it manages to get a firm fucking grasp on the disassociative nature of somebody's mental plight and conditions that would be, psychologically different and or beneficial / detrimental to the person that finds themselves in this position and doesn't exactly know how to respond in the wake of the significance of the events that are happening around them, because nothing they have done for so long has had that kind of weight or significance. It encapsulates the disassociative nature, the sort of out-of-body experience that one would have when confronted with this situation and when given power that they never thought they would ever gain in their entire life, through the narrator taking place. And by the way, not at any other point in this film does a narrator take hold of a situation and start narrating the events that are happening. Not at any other point in the film do any voices come into play that make it feel hallucinogenic. No, like I said before, this movie feels scene specific, and this scene specifically has narrators coming in because you are meant to feel like your psychology is being disturbed, like your mind is being invaded, like powerlessness has suddenly become power, like insignificance has suddenly become has suddenly succumbed to the weight of importance that has been shifted upon you. Like you are not you anymore, like you are becoming another person, just as Fern Mayo is becoming Violette. She is succumbing to the transformation that is brought upon, like a Frankenstein monster, by these architects of horrific endeavors, these popular wenches that are going to extreme lengths, extreme enough to transform someone who was on one side of the spectrum to the complete opposite side of it to keep their dirty secret, which is always present in your thoughts as you're watching this movie, no matter what. So not only is this scene doing all of this to you, but you still have an underlying idea, and you still have an underlying idea of the plot, and the plot is being furthered and is making progress, even though the scene itself is working on you in such a way that even if it was separate from the film itself, you would have to consider this to be high art. You would have to consider it highly influential. You would I don't know how more people haven't talked about this film already. It's this movie's fucking insane, and I've only talked about the general premise and 2 scenes. I'm gonna wrap this up because this is just meant to be a rambly vlog / podcasty form of video format. But I'd like to wrap this up by saying you should definitely watch this fucking movie. Like I said, it's the best of the worst, the best teen drama I've ever seen. It's called Jawbreaker, and it's fantastic. And I've got a lot more to say about it, so I might say more later. Anyways, see you guys in the next one. Peace out.